Alright fellas, here we are back at Pokemon Masters, and today we're going to be looking at the double feature PokeFair Scout for the Grass-type high score event with Sygna Suit Leaf and Victor. So obviously, I mean, most of you probably know what these characters do, so this is mostly a filler video. If you already know what these characters do and you don't really need any recommendations, don't watch the video. I don't really care. It's alright, it's fine. Anyway, I digress. This banner doesn't really hold the utmost value. I mean, if you do really want to score well on the high score event and whatnot, the banner probably is going to hold some relatively decent value for you, especially on the side of Victor, who has had one rerun prior to his release, I think. So, I mean, getting a second rerun here is going to be pretty decent for him. And obviously, Sygna Suit Leaf is rerun about 1,000 times, so you probably don't need too many copies of her, but if you do want them, you can get them. Anyway, yeah, let's go ahead and just get into this stuff, because I don't have too much time here, but whatever. Anyway, so looking at Sygna Suit Leaf here, as we know from the first anniversary, she has a lot of bulk stats. I'd say she's probably the most equal in all of her stats, I guess you could say. I mean, they're all well-rounded, so to speak. Especially at the 6-star EX, she's got nearly 300 in the defenses, she's got 300 in the special attack and attack, over 800 health. Low speed, but I mean, it's a Venusaur, what you would expect as much. Mega Evolve, she's got 369 special attack, 340 special defense. Character is pretty good on the bulk side, and obviously she's got potions here for her healing, and her Mega Healing Trainer move, which reduces sync countdown, and if the Venusaur is Mega Evolved, it reduces sync countdown again by 2. And then when used in co-op, reduces sync countdown for all allies, and then it applies gradual healing to all allies. So, not bad, right? Not bad. Very good for sync ramping and whatnot if needed, but she obviously is going to need a support in order to do a lot of her damaging abilities. Anyway, I didn't mean to do that. So looking at her move, she's got Razor Leaf, which is a 2-gauge move and not really too useful at base, but once you look at her passives, it becomes a little bit more useful. She's got Frenzy Plant, which is her main source of actually doing a lot of damage, other than, I guess, her Nuke, because it's a 4-gauge move, 200 base power, very equal to, like, a Hyper Beam or something like that. Quite a bit lower power, but, you know, you can compare. And then her Tenacious Frenzy Plant, which has increased power when the target is poisoned or badly poisoned. Which, speaking of poison, she's able to do Potent Toxin 2, which increases the damage amount of damage taken from enemies being poisoned or badly poisoned. And then there's Sundering 9. This is when Mega Evolved. Oops. She's got Venomous 4. Sorry. So, in base, she's got Venomous 4, which has a 50% chance of leaving the enemy badly poisoned when the move is targeting that opponent is successful. This is AoE. I'm pretty sure once it activates once, it'll activate for all opponents, which is very good, assuming you're using Razor Leaf, right? So if you use Razor Leaf, it'll poison all enemies, or it won't poison any enemy, and then Frenzy Plant, obviously, it's single target, so similar there. But then she's got Sundering 9, which has a 100% chance of debuffing defense or special defense when the user's move targeting an opponent is successful. So she's good for her debuffing ability. Defense and special defense specifically, very solid for that. And then Adrenaline 2, if you use her sync move, you'll be getting -2 on your sync countdown, which combined with an Adrenaline Lucky skill or other sync countdown methods such as her trainer move, you can get a lot of sync countdown in with this character, which is pretty good, especially if they give her like the Sprint EX roll or something. Insane. But yeah, I digress. When she Mega Evolves, she gets Potent Toxin 2 again, so it increases enemy damage taken from poison as previously specified. So, in base, I wouldn't say Leaf is all that, like, absurd as a character, but you can definitely make abuse of her Razor Leaf for AoE poison on enemies that can be poisoned, and of course, debuffing defenses is obviously universally going to be good. Potions for healing up herself and her allies. Her relatively solid bulk stats are going to be decent enough, and then her trainer move being able to do Sync Countdown can help if you need to get Sync Countdown in as sync moves in as fast as possible. And then Frenzy Plant, if you really want to focus on damage, you can. But really, her poison, debuffing, and sync countdown abilities are probably her most impactful abilities, especially just at 1 out of 5. Then if we go into the grid, 1 out of 5, she gets Potion and PR, which is surprising. I didn't actually know this or realize it. That's good. 2 out of 5, she gets Speeding Stun 2, Potent Toxin 2, Toxic Power 1, Pinpoint Entry 1, Critical Strike and Razor Leaf, sure. Trainer move NPR, and that's in Move Gauge Refresh. That's mostly it, I would say. But Potent Toxin 2 is definitely not bad combined with her Potent Toxin 2 ability and her passives already. Speeding Sun if you are in Sun, helping out with Gauge, but most of the time you're probably not going to be using this. Trainer move NPR, if you want extra sync countdown, you can use that. Could be pretty good because it's a 40% chance. Pinpoint Entry for accuracy buffs because we have the 95 accuracy Razor Leaf and the 90 accuracy Frenzy Plant. Toxic Power 1, not a great multiplier, but I mean, it's something on top of her Frenzy Plant, I guess. But I digress, really. 2 out of 5 is not all that impactful. It's just extra poison damage and NPR on some of her abilities. But again, not really that impactful, but as we know. So going to 3 out of 5, she gets Frenzy Plant Discombobulate, which has a 50% chance to debuff enemy accuracy. Combine that with her defense and special defense debuffing, and you've got quite a few debuffs. Mostly good against enemies who want a lot of debuffs, such as, maybe you want to face like a legendary arena, mostly Latias, right? But obviously debuffing accuracy is going to be universally solid for pretty much any legendary arena that doesn't buff its accuracy a shitload, so not too bad. Or enemies in general. Toxic Power 5 for a 50% buff to your moves when enemies are poisoned, so your Frenzy Plant could be doing even more damage, which is not bad. Potion Master Healer, let's see, Sync Nodes, of course, as usual. Discourage 1, lowering enemy special attack on entry. Hemon 2, 30% chance to lower enemy evasion when its attack move is successful, so again, combine that with a Razor Leaf. You could do evasion debuffs and then accuracy debuffs as well with Frenzy Plant. Relentless, more target enemy defenses, lower the greater the power up, the sync move. So finally we got another sync multiplier here, not bad. And then HP advantage, the more the user's HP remains, the more it powers up the user's moves. So basic stuff. I wouldn't even say that Leaf's grid is even that great anymore at 3 out of 5. I really wouldn't. I mean, really, you're getting Relentless, which is her big nuking stuff. Trying to move NPR or Discourage, you could pick up either one, I guess. And then something like this, I guess, would be what you really want to pick up if you really want to do a lot of damage or something. Really, she does get better nodes, though. At 4 out of 5, she gets Venomous 2, which, again, more poison chance. I would just mostly probably reset, though. This is not worth picking up. Toxic Freebie, also not really worth picking up, but that is decent if you don't have any sort of gauge management, or gauge management type of abilities. So Frenzy Plant finally having a method of not consuming all of your gauge, especially with Leaf's low speed, is not too bad. Just really depends on your situation. But then 5 out of 5, she gets Noxious Hit 9, which lowers target attack and special attack by 1 when targeting enemy with the debuffs and whatnot. So she's lowering enemy attack, special attack, defense, and potentially special defense, or special defense or potentially defense. However Sundering works for you. And then you obviously got accuracy and evasion. Yeah, she can debuff so many stats. And then power play, obviously. Power play, powering up sync moves, the more enemy stats are debuffed. Combine that with Relentless and her innate multiplier here with the poison. You've got yourself a very, very strong sync nuke. Potentially, right? Potentially. Really just depends how you build her. Because looking at all the energy, look at the energy you would need to pick all this up, dude. Come on, this is a shitload of energy to have to pick up. This is 13 energy, so this is 15 energy. You're picking up pretty much everything you can here. Like, you cannot pick up Noxious Hit, it seems, and then also try and pick up Relentless and Power Play. Game just does not allow you, because obviously, grid energy is absolute bullshit. Yeah. Not doing too good, it seems. Not doing too good. Oh well. Either way, if you can figure out a way to make it work to your best abilities, Leaf has amazing debuff potential with her attack and special attack, defense and special defense, accuracy and evasion debuffs. Literally every stat besides speed. And then of course she has a great sync nuke as well, which if you can get that activated, power play and relentless, those are great multipliers. But of course, positioning in the grid is what's really screwing Leaf over here, and a relatively low special attack stat. Not like low, but I mean, for modern damage dealers and nukers, this is decently low. But I digress. So, Leaf, definitely not bad. Pretty much once, at least. Yeah, she mostly wants 5 out of 5, if not just straight up 1 out of 5, really. Because she gets most of her good stuff at 1 out of 5 with the potion healing and then just the base kit. 2 out of 5, you get the Train Move NPR and Frenzy Plant Move Gauge Refresh and the Potent Toxin. 3 out of 5, you get Relentless, Discourage, which is mediocre, I guess, Potion Master Healer, and a couple other things. And then 4 out of 5 is mostly useless, and then 5 out of 5 is really good with Noxious Hit and Power Play. So, yeah. Moving on to Victor. Victor here, looking at his base kit, he's a striker, of course. Obviously, Leaf was a tech, released back in October of 2022. He's got some pretty good abilities here. Looking at his stats, he's got 380 attack, which is solid, good, duh. 160 and 130 defenses, 648 HP. Pretty low defenses, but pretty par for the course for a striker. 268 speed, better than Leaf. That's about all I can say. So yeah, then combine it with the EX, of course, he's doing pretty good for himself. Anyway, so he's got Drum Beating here, which is a 4-gauge move, 160 power, lowers enemy speed, obviously increases in power with move levels, 176 at 3 out of 5, which is probably what you're going to be going for. Speed debuffs, only really good for his multipliers, I would say. Dire Hit Plus for crit maxing, high horsepower, which if you want to do ground damage with him, you can. You really can. His ground damage is not horrible, but really the grass is obviously better, just higher base power, nuke, etc. And then he's got Attack Rhythm, which raises his attack by 6, applies free moves next, and increases his physical moves next by 1. Very basic character, by the way. This guy is extremely basic and easy to use. He's got Piercing Blows, which ignores target passes that would reduce the damage of the move, ignores target passive skills that would protect him from a crit, and ignores Endurance. So, if you want to fight Aaron, Fire Weak Aaron, there you go. He's got Chase Down 3, powering up his moves when an enemy speed is lowered. 30% raw multiplier, pretty much just for using Drum Beating, which is good, obviously. And then targets max the enemy, whenever attacking an enemy with a max move, the target becomes all enemies. So his max move becomes goes from single target to AoE. Very good, very, very good, obviously. And then his max move is G-Max Drum Solo, which again ignores the stuff, right? Wouldn't this stack with Piercing Blows when the user is attacking? Wouldn't this just stack with Piercing Blows? So this effect seems useless? I don't know, maybe I'm stupid. Either way, it's something. It ignores damage reduction passives and ignores critical hit protection passives. So 450 power, obviously AoE. It's not split since it's from a passive. That's going to be a lot of damage, right? Just a raw max move that hits all enemies. That is basically equivalent of another Striker Sync Nuke. EX Striker Sync Nuke. And then Max Quake, 400 power, raising ally special defense if you want to run him for ground damage. There you go. And again, it'll also be AoE if you do want that. So 1 out of 5, he's very basic. He's got a 30% multiplier with Chase Down. He's got a high powered move with 160 power, Drum Beating, 380/420 attack. Obviously very self-sufficient in buffing his own stats. He's very basic. 1 out of 5. He doesn't really need much. He just is here to do damage. He's not like overly impressive or anything because a 30% multiplier with 160 power move, not like wowzers, a mega powerful character. It's nothing crazy. It's good, but nothing to like write home about. Anyway, going to the grid, Drum Beating and high horsepower move gauge refresh. That's literally it at 1 out of 5. 2 out of 5 gets super duper effective 1, mostly useless. Trip up 2, lowering enemies 30% chance to lower enemy speed when the attack move is successful. If you really need to activate speed debuff multipliers, which he doesn't get until 3 out of 5, other than Chase Down, which you can just get activated with Drum Beating alone. Sure, whatever. Super Desperate, applying super effective next one in a pinch. Not really all that useful either. Trying to move Critical Eye. This makes it so you, instead of taking 3 turns to max the stats, it only takes 2. But this is obviously alleviated in general just by using a crit support. Which Grass, I would have to think about the supports that Grass has. I mean, we can look at them. Obviously, Sygna Acerola. Not gonna need the buffs there. Blue's able to buff crit. Shauna's able to buff crit. Sygna Acerola's able to buff crit. Holiday Sycamore is able to buff crit. Mallow is able to buff crit in the grid with Team Sharp entry. Barry, I think, he raises... Does he raise crit? I forget. I would have to look a little bit better. But, okay, it doesn't seem like Barry raises crit, but that's fine. So, Team Critical Shock. There you go. He raises crit. Crit. Dawn, I don't think raises crit at all, but of course it's Dawn. She's honestly more of an attacking character than a support. Lyra buffs crit, and then Rosa doesn't buff crit. So out of 9 supports, 2 of them don't buff crit. This is mostly speaking for the Grass High Score event, obviously, but in general, not really going to be that impactful of an ability. This Critical Eye on the Trainer move. But I mean, it's something. Verdant Recovery and Turbo Turf if you're going to be running them in grassy terrain, which of course probably want to. Natural Remedy to remove status conditions when inflicted. Really, mostly just utility stuff and mostly niche abilities. He doesn't really need super effective nodes because I would say he's going to be fine against a grass weak stage as is. He's going to be applying his +1 physical moves next. Drum Beating is going to be doing solid power with Chase Down. You've got the AoE max move. I think he's going to be fine against grass weak stages without needing super duper effective 1 or super desperate. Going to 3 out of 5, he gets G-Max Drum Solo 100 power, which... That's very powerful, man. That's pretty powerful. Max countdown, so you don't lose your sync countdown when using the max move. Hunter's Instinct for 30% multiplier when the more the enemy's speed is lowered. So this is where Trip Up would actually gain a little bit of utility, but probably still wouldn't pick it up. Maybe. I don't know. I'd have to look at the grid. Topher, 30% chance to apply free moves next when the user's Pokemon uses a move. So, of course, if you are struggling with Gauge, because Drum Beating does take a lot of it, you can pick up Topher if you need to. He's got Max Quick 100 Power, Rejuvenate 6. Relatively decent, but honestly, I'd say it and Topher are about equal in value. Mighty Rush 9, increasing physical moves next after using the user's Sync move, Cakewalk, and Sync Nodes. Okay, so obviously you can't pick up everything, but really if you want to go for max damage, I'm pretty sure you can pick up everything, which would be this, yeah. Okay, so you can pick this up if you wanted to. You could obviously change around some energy stuff if you really want to pick up something else. It doesn't really matter too much to me. It doesn't seem like you can pick up Trip Up too because they opted to make it 10 fucking energy for some reason. I don't know why, but sure, we can lie to ourselves and say that is worthwhile. Yeah, so there you go. This is pretty much the grid you're going to be running if you want the maximum power, but I don't know if you really want to run Cakewalk because even just 100% multiplier on your nuke is not really that powerful. It isn't, so I wouldn't even pick up these. I would say this is fine. You probably wouldn't even want to pick up the Sync Nodes. I would just say Hunter's Instinct is good enough for the overall DPS because I think his DPS is really what you should be focusing on. AoE Sync move is not really all that crazy. It really is not. It's just 100% multiplier. That's it? Yeah, no. Not all that great. I would probably pick up the GMX Drum Soul Power Node, and then obviously pick up that. So, got 24 energy left, pick up Topher, max countdown, and I would say that that's pretty much the grid you may want to run. This is probably your best bet. If you want self-sufficiency, you can get rid of like Topher or the max countdown, whichever for Critical Eye, if you really want to. If you need the energy, there you go. You can do something like that. I don't really care. I would just say focusing on his DPS is probably your best bet, because that nuke ain't going to be hitting for shit anyway. Going on to 3 out of 5, or 4 out of 5 rather, he gets max Slip Up 2, lowering enemy speed after using the max move. This just makes it so your Hunter's Instinct is faster to activate, and it's actually pretty easy to get to as well, so not a bad pickup. Anyway, Overwhelm 9, lowering enemy attack by 1 when the attack move is successful. This is solid enough if you're facing physical attacking enemies, and you really need those attack debuffs and whatnot. Could be decent depending on who you're fighting. I don't remember the opponents for the Grass High Score event, so... Or rather what their moves are and whatnot, so you'll just have to see how useful that is, whatever the infographic says. Then going to 5 out of 5 gets max damage guard, not really worth it, and then high horsepower Bogo 9, also probably not really worth it, because again, you're mostly going to focus on grass damage, and this is mostly just useful if you're using him against ground weak stages, which, I mean, that's good, because Courtney, if you're using her for ground zone, is, oh boy, not good with the gauges, combined with Victor. Not great either. But really, probably not too valuable. So I would say if you're really going to pick up anything, 4 out of 5 is probably the most value you can get out of him. 5 out of 5 doesn't really have too much. But really, again, just 3 out of 5 alone is solid enough. It's really good enough. This is mostly just if you really want those speed debuffs as fast as possible, I would say. So anyway, yeah, pretty much it. I mean... pretty dated characters, I would say, overall. Victor is solid enough for a striker still, but like nothing absurd or extremely impactful. Sygna Suit Leaf, pretty much the same case. I mean, if you really want an Omni debuffer, they released Classic Elise's grid expansion, and she does it a lot better, in my opinion. If you're going to take Sygna Suit Leaf or Classic Elise to 5 out of 5, Elise is better, because her debuffing is so much superior, so superior, and her nuke is also superior, so I digress. Anyway, yeah, that is the overview for the Grass-type High Score event at Double Feature PokeFair Scout. Let me know what you think about it and whatnot down in the comments below. Let me know if you're going to be really trying hardcore for the Grass High Score event. If you are, tell me what points you want to get to, or, you know, what position you want to get to, or what position you do get to whenever it actually releases and ends and whatnot. So, yeah, I'll see you all later. Hope you all enjoyed. Good luck on your Grass High Score event summons and battles and whatnot, and I'll see you all later.